Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Retiring soon or thinking of retiring soon? Before you make any financial decisions, consider our 10 steps to a worry-free retirement. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money. The Worry-Free Retirement with your host, five-time author and fiduciary, the money missionary himself, Tony Walker.
One of the most frequently asked questions I get from folks nearing retirement or those who are thinking of retiring soon, and yes, even those who are sitting there saying, I wish I could have retired yesterday, is, Tony, kind of a two-part question. First of all, how am I doing versus everybody else you meet? And then secondly, how am I doing if I go on and retire? Or in other words, am I really going to be able to pull this off? For instance, last night a couple came in who had just turned 60 years of age. And when I asked him why they were here to see me, he basically said, to be honest, I've worked for over 35 years, Tony, in the same job, very, very hard labor, and I just want to retire. I just want to go home. I want to chill out. I want to spend more times with the grandkids. And I'm just hoping you can tell me that I can retire now. So here was my question. I said, if I can tell you that you can retire now, are you going to be able to do it? And we'll get into that in a minute. Interesting concept there of being able to retire, not only physically and emotionally, but financially is what we're talking about. So if you're that person, you're sitting there right now, getting ready to retire, thinking of retiring soon, wishing maybe you could retire soon, or maybe you were somebody that was just recently given the pink slip, or just recently notified that your plant's going to be closing, or you're getting laid off. Or here's another one. I got a young lady came in yesterday. She's being offered an early buyout, an early retirement. She's like, well, I've never even thought about this. I don't know if I can retire. But if any of those categories fit you, this episode is for you. By the way, welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am retirement specialist and fiduciary Tony Walker. Certainly pleased to be with you today and host the only TV show in the country dedicated specifically to helping savers worry less about money. Those hardworking folks out there, they're just more concerned about the return of their money than on it. I wanted to go over my appointments real quickly because we're talking a little bit about the 10 steps to a worry-free retirement, and much of this gets down to the wisdom and the judgment of you personally selecting an advisor. Have you thought about that? Are you selecting an advisor just because maybe they talk a good game, maybe they work for a big firm, a big bank or whatever? Or are you hopefully thinking about the judgment and the wisdom, the experience of the advisor in whom you are getting ready to place your life savings with? Think about it. This is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. Just an example here. Aaron, bear with me. We don't need to show this because it's got client names. But the number of people that I've been honored to meet with since 9/11 when I decided to just go full-blown into the retirement business. Literally thousands upon thousands of people I've met with. And you say, well, Tony, I don't know if you're the sharpest tool in the shed at all, but I do know this. I've met with probably more people than anybody in the country. And because of that, I've gained a lot of wisdom about what savers are looking for. In fact, yesterday, Aaron can attest to this, I'm going through my appointment list. These were all yesterday. Face-to-face meetings, by the way, with people. There's, started at 11, I was out of here by about 7:30 last night, saw 17 people yesterday alone. So I meet anywhere from 25 to 40 people per week. Now, why does that matter to you? Why should it matter? It matters because I'm meeting a lot of people who are going through various scenarios in retirement. Folks, I can say this. I may not be able to fix all the problems, but I've seen about every problem imaginable. And in most cases, we can provide the solutions needed for our clients and hopefully you to be worry-free in retirement. So today, what we're going to be talking about are the 10 steps. So if you're thinking about retirement, you've recently retired, and you're getting ready to go out, or maybe you've even been to one of these dinner seminars and somebody's been pitching annuities or something, and you're going, I don't know that much about them. I mean, it sounded like a good game, but I don't really know what to ask these people. I don't know what I should be looking for. These 10 steps that I'm going to share with you are crucial in helping you worry less about money. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the whiteboard and we're going to go over these 10 steps. But before I do that, let me go over the first 3 before we take a break, because this is essential. Our staff, we always meet on Monday. This is the marketing staff in Louisville. So I have 2 sets of staff. We have the Bowling Green office and we have 5 full-time staff. Those are the folks that service all of our clients. Then we have the Louisville staff. I have 4 full-time staff in Louisville, and really this is more of our marketing area. We have Matt and Aaron and Trey and, of course, Gina. So we meet every Monday morning when I'm up here, and we just kind of go over, okay, what are people really wanting, Tony? What have you seen the past week? What can we do to improve our services and help these savers? And there was 3 things we thought about that came out of that meeting, and I want to share. So these are the first 3 steps. They do apply to us, but they should apply to anybody you're looking for. So, Aaron, let's just throw them up here one by one. The first step when meeting with anybody, the first step would be what my father-in-law told me when I got in this business in 1984. My father-in-law, who is an independent insurance agent, said, Tony, the first thing I'm going to suggest you do is do what I do. Always remain independent. Now, what did Mr. Moore mean by that? What he meant was, Tony, if you remain independent, in other words, you don't become an employee of a financial institution. It's not that people of employees of financial institutions can't help you. They can. There's some great advisors with those institutions. The problem is they are not truly independent. If you're an employee of a financial institution, there are rules and things you have to follow. Sometimes you have to sell things that maybe you may or may not agree with, but it doesn't matter. You're on their terms. As an independent fiduciary, what I've learned and what I've continued to do is I work for you. I don't work for companies. Now, granted, we have to place your money with large institutions. We want the money safe and secure. You don't invest with Tony Walker Financial. Your money goes into these institutions, but I don't work for them, folks. I'm working for you and making sure we're doing things in your best interest. Now, the second thing, the second step, be sure you hopefully have an independent fiduciary you're working with. And secondly, before you get your checkbook out, before you start doing rollover 401ks into their process, make sure that that advisor gives you a game plan, a written game plan in writing, and allows you to study that game plan before you commit to doing business. This is one of the worst scenarios going on right now in the financial world. You people come in and tell me this. You're running around kicking the tires. That's great. You go in these fancy schmancy offices. Apparently they got whiteboards, they got projectors, and they tell you all this stuff they're going to do, and then you ask to see it in writing. And apparently, I can't even believe this is ethical, apparently they won't give you anything. So let's think about this. You're going to make a decision for the rest of your life on retirement, and you have nothing in writing to study what they're recommending? Folks, this would be foolish. I would not recommend working with anybody that doesn't give you something in writing and gives you the opportunity to study it. We do that with the WorryFree Retirement. And then finally, number 3, and it's a legitimate question. I get this a lot. It almost always comes up at the end of a workshop. Somebody will raise their hand. We always take questions at the end of our workshops. And they'll say, hey, Tony, all this sounds good, but what happens if something happens to you? And I say, well, it's not if, it's when, but it's a very good question. So the third step in working with any financial advisor, and again, I know there's some good ones out there, but a lot of these advisors have no organization locally to help you. So the question ought to be for any advisor, hey, John or Sally, you're working with me. What happens to my game plan and the servicing of my accounts when you die or become disabled or for some reason fly the coop? What do I do? Well, at Tony Walker Financial, we have a continuation plan in place. The Louisville office is set to go. The Bowling Green office is set to go if something happens to me. And again, I don't want to share personal financial information on a TV show, but it's important to know I intentionally have no debt associated with Tony Walker Financial. I have plenty of cash in the bank. Yes, cash can be king in situations like death and disability. Now, why do I go to those measures? Because I want to make sure our clients are assured that if I step out, there's somebody that can step in, and that's a trained staff that knows exactly what we're doing and how the game plan works. So hopefully you're getting a feel for this. Those are the first 3 steps. When I come back, I'm going to get the whiteboard out. I'm going to share steps 4 through 10. Again, if you're retired, retiring soon, or thinking about retiring, or maybe you've been laid off or going through a plant closing, you need to stick around for this. This could be the difference between you worrying and not worrying in retirement. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back.
back by popular demand, Tony Walker's newest workshop, Safeguarding Your Money During Turbulent Times, Monday, June 18th in Louisville, Tuesday, June 19th in Elizabethtown, and Thursday, the 21st in Bowling Green. Learn the secrets to a worry-free retirement as Tony personally shares the 5 most common mistakes savers are making with their money and how to avoid them. All workshops are free of charge, but registration is required, so log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you have a 401k, IRA, thrift savings account, 403b, or lump sum pension that you'd like to move to safer territory? Did you know that all the money you see on your 401k statement isn't really yours? Depending on your overall taxable income, the government has essentially a lien on your 401k that can tax as much as 40% of your money when you go to take it out. Tony Walker calls this the 401k tax tumor. For over 33 years, retirement specialist Tony Walker has helped thousands of savers worry less about money by creating game plans to deal with your tax tumor. Get control of your retirement by controlling the taxes owed on it. Schedule a free meeting to see if you can reduce your tax tumor and provide a guaranteed income you can never outlive. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am Tony Walker. We're covering steps 4 through 10. So in case you just joined us, if you're retired, retiring soon, or just sitting there thinking about retiring, maybe you've been laid off, gotten the pink slip, buyout offer, whatever the case may be, this is a great show because we're trying to help you think through the necessary steps before you engage an advisor to work with them. And then we're on step 4, which this is the biggie. Years ago, when I was doing retirement planning, how much health insurance would cost when you retired was really a moot point. You know, it wasn't that expensive. Now, health insurance can be anywhere from, I've seen it as high as $1,500 a month for a couple to retire. So what I would say on healthcare costs, number one, we do not do health insurance. What we can do in our planning is try to free up money to help pay for the health insurance you're going to have to pay. For instance, I had a gentleman come in the other day with his wife. He wanted us to look at his brokerage statements. We're going to be able to save them right at $4,000 per year in fees. Now that $4,000 could obviously be applied to health insurance cost. So health insurance cost, here's what I would say. It may be very expensive, but don't be discouraged. Don't let that keep you from going through our worry-free retirement planning analysis, all right? Don't worry about it. Let's look at the cost. The Bible says count the cost. That's what we're going to have to do. Number 5, a clear understanding of when to take Social Security and how Social Security is going to be taxed. Folks, this is something you've saved for all of your life, and many of you have no game plan or have no understanding, basically, of how Social Security even works. Number 6, my favorite, how in the world are you going to use and enjoy this 401k? That's your life savings. Most of you, the 401k, 403b, thrift savings account, whatever you want to call it, that's where you've been putting most of your money, folks. And what a lot of people don't understand is there's 2 critical ages when dealing with retirement accounts for planning purposes. Age 59 and a half and age 70 and a half. Those are 2 ages that are crucial to trying to deal with the money, how to lower the taxes. Had someone come in the other day and they said, Tony, we want to retire, but we're only 55. Can we pull this off? And I said, well, why couldn't you? Why do you assume you can't? And they said, well, isn't there an excise tax prior to 59 and a half of 10%? We've heard about this. And again, this is the only thing when you get out and Google stuff, folks. Yeah, that's true. But what happened was because there's a 10% tax, they think there's no way to avoid it. And there is. There's something the government allows us. It's called a 72T election. We do these all the time for people under 59 and a half. Heather in our office does all of the tax planning around 72Ts and RMDs. That's the kind of stuff you better hope somebody knows how to do that. And secondly, even an advisor said, yeah, we can do a 72T and avoid that tax. Are they going to service it properly? See, if you set this 72T up, we can go over this in more detail if you're under 59 and a half, you've got to monitor it. If you goof up on it, they come back and penalize you anyway. So that's a biggie. I hold in my hand step 7. This is called the Worry-Free Retirement Spending Plan. It's available on the website as a free download. If you'd like to go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, it's not a budget. It's called a spending plan. So if you're at the halftime, If you're between 59 and 70 and a half, that's half-time. You need a spending plan. We will send you this form, then we will sit down and go over your expenses. You got to know what it takes after tax to run your household. But then when you get to the second half, that's generally after 70 and a half, you have a different spending plan because generally my clients, what I've experienced, as they get over 70 and a half, they start spending less. So folks, we can help you lay out your expenditures. In fact, before we close out this segment, I'm going to give you an example. That's why I've got the whiteboard here. Step number 8, you got to have a plan in place to replace your income at death or to replace the taxes owed. I was talking to Aaron before we went on the show. I said, Aaron, did you have a termite inspection when you purchased your home? And he said, sure. I said, did you see any termites? He said, no, I didn't see any termites, but I didn't want there to be any termites because those little fellas, they're small and they don't seem to appear to cause a problem, but they can be very costly if you don't get them. Now, in the financial world, now again, I'm not getting on term life insurance in and of itself, but term life insurance, long-term, provides nothing. In fact, it probably is the most costly insurance you can buy. And unfortunately, in our business, there's been a lot of people, I call them termites, financial termites. They tell people that you won't need life insurance in retirement, buy term life insurance because it's cheap. Well, folks, yeah, it may be cheap now, but as you get older, the insurance companies know you're not going to be able to afford it. You're going to drop the term life insurance. You're not going to have anything to pay tax-free benefits when you die. You're not going to have anything out there to replace lost income from Social Security, et cetera, when you die. And my point is, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard. Why wouldn't you want permanent insurance? Because we know we're going to die. It guarantees we'll get back more than we put in tax-free. What saver doesn't want that? So we can provide during our analysis a free analysis on how permanent life insurance can actually make your retirement income sizzle. It'll give you more money, not less money. Step number 9, this actually is my favorite. Forget the 401k. I got to have me some mailbox money, right, Tony? In fact, this booklet has turned some lives upside down when they realize I can get mailbox money, Tony, just like your granddad. Order this booklet. I wrote it. It's called Mailbox Money for Life. Go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. And in it, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to turn that 401k into a lifetime income you can never outlive. Guaranteed income. It sounds so silly and so stupid not to do it, but people avoid it. Wall Street doesn't offer mailbox money. We do. Again, let us sit down and show you how you can have guaranteed income for a lifetime. And finally, step 10, this came up the other day, and I hadn't really thought about this. This happens all the time in our practice, but a gentleman told me, he said, Tony, you don't realize this, but I'm going to be retiring soon, and I've handled all the finances, and quite frankly, I think I could go it alone. I really do. I don't know if I really need you nor any advisors. I said, hey, fair enough. I don't take that offense to that. And I said, so why are you here? And he said, my wife. Said, you know what? She's never handled the finances, and I'm worried that if I die first, what in the world is she going to do with all this? And secondly, what I'm worried about is who is she going to trust? So what he's done is he narrowed it down to me and another fellow somewhere, another advisor, and he said, what I'm going to do, I think this is a great idea. I'm going to bring my wife in, and we want to see a written game plan. I said, bingo, I can do that. And secondly, I want her to see if you're the type of person she wants to work with if something happens to me. I said, brilliant idea, let's do it. So we're going to do that. So that's another thing. It's not only just retirement, and you think you might have it figured out, but what happens if something happens to you? What about your spouse and your family? Do they have a game plan that continues on long after you're gone? Our game plan does. Now finally, as an example of the game plan, let me share with you in the last closing minutes the idea of how a spending plan works. What is retirement planning, Tony? It seems like everybody on every corner now is a retirement specialist. Well, unless you've done thousands of retirement plans like I have, it's sometimes even hard for advisors to get their arms wrapped around really what is retirement planning. They think it's about products. They really do. Everybody's selling products. And quite frankly, you can get the same products from just about anybody. Where the key is the experience and wisdom to use those products to your advantage. All right? How do we do that? So behind me here, just briefly, this was an example of somebody that came in. Both of the clients were age 57. This was the person that mentioned something about the excise tax. He had a 401k of $400. She had a 401k of $200. Both of them are going to have Social Security. There's their 401k. See, already in my mind, I'm mapping out where is the income coming from? What's the cash flow going to look like? If these people quit working, how are they going to live, right? Their income's been coming from a paycheck. The paycheck stops, folks. So I've got to produce income for life, and how do I do that? This person, actually, the husband had a small pension, and then finally they had a little bit of savings. So what I told these people is, between 57 for 5 years, that's the 72T, we're going to take your 401k, and for each of those 5 years, in your case, Mr. Jones, we're going to do a 72T election. And we will calculate this. This is all legal. It's government tables. So we know we're going to get 5 years of income between now and 62. Now this gentleman, he's not real trusting of Social Security. He said, Tony, I don't care what you can do analysis all day long. I want my Social Security at 62, which that really makes my job easier. So then from the cash flow, we come down and we start his Social Security at 62. His wife still works. She wants to take hers at 62. Now that means as we get into the 401k here, we can back this off a little bit, okay? So because the Social Security is kicking in, we can back off what we're taking out of the 401k. Now who's going to sit around and do all this? We do. This is why I have trained staff, is to monitor the game plan and how we're going to take money out. Folks, you just don't throw your money in a product and you just kind of roll the dice. We had his pension over here. That was going to start at 62. We have savings, right? We have this savings we could use in the interim. We want to leave some money in the bank. Don't go drain your bank accounts, folks. I know it's frustrating. They're not even paying much interest, nor do they give you a free toaster anymore. I know it's frustrating. But folks, you've got to have cash available that you can get your hands on. So what I showed this person, I said, I'm going to come back at our next meeting, and you're going to see a documented income plan with proprietary software I've created, and I'm going to show you how you can retire now. And I'm looking forward to that meeting, quite frankly. But what about you? You might be sitting there saying, Tony, I'm like this person. I want to get out of here, man. I want to retire and spend some time at home with my family. I want to do things I want to do. It's really easy to do. All you got to do is go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on the Let's Get Started, and we can meet at your convenience at either our Bowling Green or Louisville, Kentucky office. Do it today, do it now. Well, I got to cover the Bible real briefly because, believe it or not, we're talking really about wisdom, discernment, who can you trust? And the Bible is full of some great stuff, but as you know, I got to get me a cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Back by popular demand, Tony Walker's newest workshop, Safeguarding Your Money During Turbulent Times, Monday, June 18th in Louisville, Tuesday, June 19th in Elizabethtown, and Thursday, the 21st in Bowling Green. Learn the secrets to a worry-free retirement as Tony personally shares the 5 most common mistakes savers are making with their money and how to avoid them. All workshops are free of charge, but registration is required, so log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you have a 401k, IRA, thrift savings account, 403B, or lump sum pension that you'd like to move to safer territory? Did you know that all the money you see on your 401k statement isn't really yours? Depending on your overall taxable income, the government has essentially a lien on your 401k that can tax as much as 40% of your money when you go to take it out. Tony Walker calls this the 401k tax tumor. For over 33 years, retirement specialist Tony Walker has helped thousands of savers worry less about money by creating game plans to deal with your tax tumor. Get control of your retirement by controlling the taxes owed on it. Schedule a free meeting to see if you can reduce your tax tumor and provide a guaranteed income you can never outlive. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Welcome back to the WorryFree Retirement. Another cup of coffee there on this beautiful day in Louisville, Kentucky. So we've been discussing the 10 steps to deciding about retirement and how to be worry-free. Now we're also going to delve into the whole idea of being wise in whom you decide to place your trust with. We make these decisions, we understand the subjects, and then we have to go out and seek counsel. That's really what we're doing. And hopefully this counsel you're seeking is wise. You're hopefully working with a retirement specialist that possesses wisdom. So what is wisdom? Let's put this up full screen. This is Webster's definition of wisdom as follows: one's ability to discern inner qualities in relationships, insight, a good sense, good judgment, a generally accepted belief, challenges what has become accepted wisdom among many historians. And let's see, keep going here. Here's another one I like. There's several. I like this one. A wise attitude, a belief, or course of action. So we've been talking about a course of action in retirement planning, and that's what the Worry-Free Retirement is. Whenever we're talking about the Bible here, and you say, does the Bible, Tony, say anything about wisdom? Oh my gosh, it's full of wisdom. In fact, we're going to Proverbs, Aaron. Let's go over to Proverbs 4, chapter 7. In fact, many people call Proverbs the book of wisdom. And it simply says, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And in all your getting, get understanding. Exalt her, that's wisdom, and she, that's understanding, will promote you. Wow. So above all else, it's really not about the money. It's really not about the perfect financial product, because there is none. It's not about the perfect financial advisor, because there is no perfect advisor. It's more important to seek out wisdom and understanding. If you have wisdom, if you have understanding, if your advisor discerns for you and helps you understand, you're going to be more worry-free. So folks, what God is telling us is that in all things, without wisdom, without understanding of what we are trying to do, we are more apt to fail. So what about meeting with me in person? You say, well, Tony, can you sit down and just go over my situation? Is there any cost, fee? I would like to see this worry-free retirement plan in action. Well, that's the best part. It is absolutely free to meet, and we can do this at your convenience at either our Bowling Green or Louisville, Kentucky offices. Incidentally, for those of you over there, we're making an offer. For those of you over in Bardstown with American Greetings, my son-in-law Trey will be happy to come over there to meet with you in person to help discuss the best thing to do with your 401k plan. It's not too early to meet, folks. You need to be planning, so take advantage of that. All you got to do is go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. So regardless of whether you're in Kentucky, Southern Indiana, you're thinking of retiring soon, you've recently retired, you got a 401k pension you want to talk about, TonyWalkerFinancial.com. All you got to do is click on that Let's Get Started button. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's program. I've enjoyed sharing this information with you. And as always, between now and next week, if all else fails, you remember, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.
Thank you for watching the Worry-Free Retirement with Tony Walker. If you need a safe and simple game plan for your retirement, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and schedule a free, no-obligation meeting with Tony.